Good evening, fellow Titans, Titaneers, and Titanettes. Welcome to a part 2 video. As I said early in my last video, that I was going to be recording 2 videos back to back and then upload them within the same week. So, as you can see in this video, it's going to be about player versus player, also known as PvP. A guide to what is PvP and how it's going to be handled in City of Titans. So, this is a video that's been long awaited. I don't have a lot of information on it, primarily because the information I could find, while it was somewhat informative, a lot of it was debatable and were mostly ideas that the MWM team had, but because it's not set in stone, I can't necessarily say this is something you should expect as a part of the final release of City of Titans, but just something to expect. Expect this as something that will likely still have some truth behind it, even if it's not the whole. But going into it, what is PvP? Now, I want to I only put this slide in here because there could be some people who don't know what PvP is. And remember, I like to also keep in mind that there are some people who this City of Titans may actually be their first MMO. I know my first MMO I played was DC Universe Online, and I knew virtually nothing about MMORPGs at the time. So information like this I had to find out for my own if I didn't just connect the dots all by myself. But either way, I just like to throw this in here and basically just say that PvP is otherwise known as player versus player. It's a game mechanic featured in most online video games that allow players to who prefer, fighting each other and decimating each other through their powers, equipment, and abilities rather than actual fighting the so-called target dummies in the actual in-game world, which could be anything from mobs and any sort of gangs and enemy factions and so on. Player versus player is also the counterpart to PvE, which is player versus environment. In most MMORPGs, which is massively multiplayer online role-playing game, PvP is often initiated through the use of a duel request, which is then accepted or declined by the potential opponent. And this is something that, yeah, duel requests will exist in City of Titans, but it's going to go a little bit deeper than that because City of Titans is going for a slightly different approach by the way of a separate phased instance. Now, what does this mean? Now, a lot of MMOs that I've played have several different servers. You have your US servers, your European servers, and you usually can choose between a bunch of different ones. City of Titans, I don't know if I said in any other video, it's going to exist on one massive server. So there will not be separate instance servers that you have to choose from upon first logging into the game when it goes live. But in a similar fashion to DC Universe Online, often abbreviated to DCUO, PvP will be handled in a similar way in where you will have a separate instance for PvP. Again, this is just as a way to divide the players who prefer PvP over PvE and players who prefer the vice versa. So in other words, while dual requests can still be sent to one another, while even in the PvE phase, those who just prefer fighting each other and just duking it out, they will be able to hop instance and go into a separate phase of Titan City that will allow them to fight one another. Alright? That should be pretty self-explanatory and easy to understand. City of Titans, as said, as you can see here, it's going to be doing the same thing but with a few tweaks. Yeah, both PvE and PvPers will be able to hop between these instances, but there will also come special rewards for PvPers that choose to engage in combat with other players. So, to start off, PvP will always be optional and it will not affect PvE. And there will also exist some form of currency that you can earn through PvP that can also be exchanged for PvE rewards, possibly even experience. So I should also take the time to also note that you can also earn experience uh, while I'm actually fighting other players. Now, whether this type of experience is on its own leveling path, if not just allowing you to level up in general from, like, let's say level 6 to 7, I'm not sure, but they have just listed that PvE that you will actually earn experience through player versus player interaction. The most highlighted function was the win streak notoriety. What the win streak notoriety is, it's detailed as a player running around with a high win streak, and they will become an immediate target for those with a lower win streak. And of course, you will lose this win streak if you are to lose, especially multiple times to other players. This is basically to allow what is known as the ranking system of the PvP. So if you choose to engage in PvP, you will actually earn ranks. These ranks will determine how good you are in PvP. But as I said in the beginning, it will be optional and will not affect PvE in any way. It will just basically probably give you a number, if not some sort of title, oftentimes defining how good you are in PvP if you choose to engage in it. Now, with each new level of notoriety comes an achievement for your character in order to gain XP. Players must engage other players with a similar or higher notoriety than you if they want to gain that new level of notoriety. So, there's that. Alright? I hope that wasn't too much to take in, but basically, win streak is what will determine what players will actually come after you, and if you lose your win streak, you will obviously go down on the notoriety until someone else gains that your notoriety that you may have lost. Now, what about teaming up with friends? Teaming up will actually be a thing in PvP. You will be allowed to team up, however, there will exist what is known as the sidekick system, which will put the auto-adjust characters on an equal playing field, primarily in the form of putting both players on the same level so that it promotes fair play, and it doesn't really become that matter of, oh, you only won because you're higher level than me, and yada yada yada. The whole idea is to have it be fair and balanced so that everyone excuse me, so that everyone is playing fairly and there isn't really a case of, oh, you had an advantage because of this or I had an advantage because of that. It's supposed to be an equal playing field. That's all it is to it. Teaming will also provide bonuses for earning PvP experience as well, and you will be able to share the reward for defeating opponents. And depending on what that reward may be, obviously will depend on what is going on, but thought I'd throw that in there just for safekeeping. And the final mission statement is the end-all goal for PvP in City of Signs is to make it fair and balanced, as I said previously. As well as make it a bit more interesting just punching people in the face. According to Tandem, again, the one of the tech team members of Missing Worlds Media, he stated on August 10th, 2017, in reply to a forum user, the system as a whole is to encourage playing against similar rank. Lower ranks can take on the risk of higher ranks for the opportunity of higher gains with less notoriety. Higher ranks against lower ranks don't gain much towards the rank improvement, but they still will earn achievements, which may over time may yield as a better bonus toward rank XP, but gain more notoriety. So, to basically dissect this, higher rank individuals, they won't necessarily gain much of an improvement if they're fighting lower tier players, because that's not fair, because then you're basically leeching and more or less you're cheating if you're getting some sort of improvements by beating up someone who's below you. But they will still gain more notoriety, just their ranks won't go up any higher because that's, again, unfair play, right? And lower ranks, they will be able to get that higher rank opportunity the more they take down people of a higher notoriety in the PvP instance. That way, they can take that from them, and then they become the king of the hill of sorts. But yes, as I usually do with all these slides, or slideshows, I will link it in the description if you guys really like to use it or find it informative. If not, just refer back to the video. Because personally, sometimes while I like videos, I really just like to get right to the point, and sometimes there can be a whole bunch of unnecessary talking like this right here. So if you just want the slide, I can link it in the description, as I always do. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always just give it a little shout out in the comments below, as well as, like most YouTube channels got to do, which is promote hitting the like button. I hate really doing that though. But just, if you guys liked the video, just please leave a comment saying you liked it. Probably even just give it a subscribe, because honestly, I do plan on covering City Signs as long as I can, because This game is just a passion for me, and I really look forward to what is to come about in between now and launch day. So I wish you all a good day. Fly fly free, and I remember to answer the call.